something we really like doing.
I'm waiting.
You like robbing and stealing?
Nobody robs trains anymore.
I'd say you've been misinformed.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another classic film review. Today I'm taking a look at the 1986 comedy Tough Guys. The film is directed by Jeff Canoe and it stars Burt Lancaster, Kurt Russell, Charles Durning, Dana Carvey, we have Darlene Flugel and Eli Wallach. Right. The film focuses on Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas's characters. We've got Harry Doyle and Archie Long. 30 years previous to this, when it was set in 1986, they were jailed for trying to rob a train. And they are being released from prison right at the beginning of this film, back into society. However, society has moved on quite a lot. They have no intention of returning to a life of crime. They want to kind of get on with their lives. But Burt Lancaster's Harry Doyle is being forced to live in a retirement home because he's past the retirement age. And Kirk Douglas has to work a series of dead-end jobs because he's a career criminal. And so they have to kind of go their separate ways, try and live their lives, but it soon turns out that they can't really live without each other because they've been such close friends for such a long time, and they can't fit into society the way it is anymore. So they decide that they're going to return to a life of crime, or at least try to do that, and they plan to once again rob a train, not only any train, but the same train that they tried to rob 30 years previously because it's on its farewell run. They are at every turn being chased down by Charles Durning's character, who is the police officer that arrested them 30 years previously, but also Eli Wallach's character, Leon, who is an aging hitman that made a promise many years ago to kill these two. Right, what are my thoughts on Tough Guys? Well, this is a film I've got a real soft spot for. It's almost like a guilty pleasure film, this one. And it certainly was at the time when it came out. This is one of those I had in my VHS collection back in the day, and I would watch it quite regular because it is such an easy watch. It's such a fun watch. It's like putting on a comfortable pair of slippers for this film. It was just such class in the leading roles. I mean, Burt Lancaster, even though he was quite ill at the time, he just a couple of years previously had double heart surgery, I think. He had to be fed some of his lines here, but you can't tell because he's a consummate professional here. And Kirk Douglas, the ever young Kirk Douglas, who plays like the slightly younger than Burt Lancaster in this film, and he's off at the gym, and you can see, you see him at the gym doing skipping and all sorts, and he was at the peak of fitness for his age, Kirk Douglas, even then. And he's dating a much younger woman, and he's living a lie, basically. But to see these two, on screen, these veterans just, oozing class really throughout this whole film. It's a joy to behold, and it makes the film so watchable because the characters are so likable. And they almost get the film stolen from them by Eli Wallach's character, Leon. He's not in it enough to steal it, but every scene he is in, he pretty much steals. He's this short-sighted hitman with a bit of a foul temper, and he's absolutely hilarious. Eli Wallach in this film, he's definitely the funniest thing about it. And it's got such a charm to it, the film. It's not one of those, side-splittingly funny comedies. It's more of a situational type thing. They are a product of the past, and they've got to try and fit into modern society, and they just can't do it. And that's where a lot of the comedy kind of comes from. And then them trying to reconnect with people from 30 years ago, who most of them are dead, to be fair, but the ones that aren't are in no fit state to be doing anything criminal anymore. And to kind of see them, realize that they are not who they used to be. It's quite a journey. It's quite a fun journey with these characters. You've got Burt Lancaster being put out to pasture, really, at this old people's home, and he's got such passion for life still. He doesn't want to be there, but he meets somebody inside this retirement home from his past that, he kind of romances. So there is a positive there, but he's a constant thorn in the side of the woman that runs the old people's home, because, he will not abide by their rules. And then Kirk Douglas, who is acting the age of somebody, 20 years younger than him, 30 years younger than him, because he's dating Darlene Flugel, who was the quintessential love interest for many films in the 80s. You name it, she's been in it pretty much. Most of the films of the 80s. Very, very pretty, and she kind of runs Kirk Douglas ragged, basically, because he's no way he can keep up with her youth and energy. So we do really get a fun film here. It's nicely paced, it's nicely made. The two veterans, Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster, are a joy to watch. They really are. And then you've got, so many fun moments in the film, and uplifting moments as well at the end of the film. It's a real 80s throwback, if you like. It's one of those 80s films that you just put on and you kind of like, oh god, yeah, I remember this. It's such a fun film. It's so chill to watch. There's no major issues or anything like that in it. It's anybody can watch it and have a good time with it. So I've really enjoyed revisiting this film to review it, to be honest. It's a long time since I've seen it. And it was literally like just relaxing, sitting back and just remembering how I used to feel watching films like this back in the 80s. It was such a joy to watch. So yeah, if you've never seen Tough Guys, you really, really must give it a go, guys. It is a really fun 80s movie. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content very, very soon.